A Tale of Four Preambles. On 26 January 1950, some 70 years ago, our Constitution came into force. The supremacy of the Constitution meant the abrogation of the Government of India Act 1935, which had effectively been the governing document for the country even after independence in 1947, effecting a significant change in status for India, an independent dominion in the British Commonwealth of Nations. India finally became, as the preamble of the new constitution declared, a sovereign democratic republic. The labyrinth of dates. But 26th January 1950 is not a date that readers of the preambles will come across. We, the people of India, in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. The question will arise, why was there a 2-month lag between the date of adoption mentioned in the preamble, that is 26th November 1949, now feebly celebrated as Constitution Day, and the date that India celebrates as Republic Day, that is 26 January, as a public holiday. The reason dates back to almost 2 decades before the Constitution was completed. In 1929, during the Indian National Congress Lahore session, a call was made for complete independence or Purna Swaraj. In defiance of the offer of dominion status that the British government had put forth. In his closing statement, as chair of the Lahore session, Jawaharlal Nehru had declared Purna Swarajya or complete independence is our motto. A year later, M.K. Gandhi published an article on 26th January 1930 that read as follows: Today is the day to proclaim that we will not to be satisfied with the dominion status. We want Purna Swaraj or complete independence. This bold and defiant move began to be recognized and routinely celebrated on 26 January as Purna Swaraj Divas. As a callback to this significant demand, the Constituent Assembly determined that the new Constitution, preamble, and all would come into complete effect on 26th January 1950. The political and legislative history of India was marked by a number of events such as this that ultimately came to bear upon the original text of the preamble. If we were to begin, albeit arbitrarily, with the 1929 formal demand for Purna Swaraj, the next salient date to mark might be 16th May 1946, which is when the Cabinet Mission and the then Viceroy presented specific recommendations about the future Constitution of India. It was under the terms of the cabinet missions plan that the original 389 members of the Constituent Assembly would be elected, with the ratio of representation according one Constituent Assembly member to 1 million of the general population. These specifications, of course, altered given the ensuing partition and the specific clauses of the Indian Independence Act 1947. A declaration by the experts. A great deal happened between the cabinet mission recommendations of 1946 and our tryst with destiny in August 1947. On 22nd July 1946, the experts committee tasked by the Congress Working Committee with preparing material for the future Constituent Assembly moved a declaration outlining the objectives of the Assembly. This committee included Jawaharlal Nehru as its chairman, along with some prominent members such as Asaf Ali, K. Munshi, K.T. Shah, and Humayun Kabir. Asaf Ali, an alumnus of St. Stephen's College, who would eventually serve as the first Indian ambassador to the United States. K. Munshi, who would later be part of the drafting committee. K.T. Shah, an alumnus of the London School of Economics and a prominent socialist who pushed the Constituent Assembly, and Dr. Ambedkar, without success, to include the terms secular and socialist into the Constitution. Humayun Kabir was a public intellectual, the author of a book on German philosopher Immanuel Kant, the compiler of Azad's well-known autobiography India Wins Freedom, and advisor to UNESCO, which consulted him about India's heritage of human rights during the drafting of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948. This declaration, though little known, proved to be life-changing for every Indian citizen by way of its future adaptations and iterations. It can be read as: the Constituent Assembly declares its firm and solemn resolves to proclaim India as an independent sovereign republic and to draw up for the future governance a constitution wherein the territories that now comprise British India, the territories that now from the Indian states, and such other territories and parts of India as are outside British India and the states and are willing to be constituted into the independent sovereign India shall be a union of them all. And the said territories, either with their present boundaries or with such others as may be determined by the Constituent Assembly and thereafter according to the law of the Constitution, shall possess and retain the status of autonomous units, together with residuary powers, and exercise all powers and functions of government and administration, so and except those that are assigned to and vested in the Union, so and except such powers and functions as are inherent in the Union by virtue of the sovereignty of the Union, and wherein all power and authority of the sovereign independent India, its constituent parts and organs of government are derived from the people, and wherein shall be guaranteed to all the people of India by law and secured to them by declared social objectives and purposes, economic organizing and administrative machinery, justice, social, economic and political, equality of status, of opportunity and before the law, freedom of thought, belief, vocation, association, and action, subject to law and public morality, and wherein adequate safeguards shall be provided for minorities, backward areas, and classes, and whereby shall be maintained the integrity of the territory of the Republic and its sovereign rights on land, sea, and air according to justice and the law of civilized nations. And this ancient land attains its rightful and honored place in the world and makes its full willing contribution to the promotion of world peace and the welfare of mankind.